if we go back to the you reduce it to a DAG.
Yes.
You want to find like a cut in the DAG, so that the sum of the right part is minimum.
Sorry, when you say convert it to the DAG means doing SCC.
Yeah.
Okay, and then?
You reduce it to a DAG. Then imagine you take a flow network in the shape of the DAG with infinite capacity.
So let's say that, and then all of these have infinite capacity.
Yes.
Okay, and
then you take a source and a sink.
okay.
If you do that and then take, for example, the source and the sink, and take, for example, one.
The first thing is actually what you already mentioned. So the first thing is that we are actually close. Yeah. So basically, okay, let me mention this part again for those of you who are maybe not sure why. But yeah, basically we create perfect matching and then we create another graph G2 containing only the set, and then if we add u to v, is basically for every unmatched edges, we add an edge from u to, and then this edge, whoever is matched on this edge, and this is true because if, and then the question becomes, we want to choose several nodes so that if a node is chosen, if a set is chosen, we have to choose all of its all edge as well. And this is true because if we chose this but we don't choose this, then yeah, we will have more, the union will be more than the size of the set that we chose. In this case, yeah, we can see why. And you might argue, oh, what happens if there is another set here that has this, and then we choose both of them? It's 2 and 2, but no, because this node also has a perfect match, right? So yeah, so it will, if we choose these two, it will be at least 3, right? So yeah, so for any of these unmatched edges, we can create an edge, directed edge from U to B, okay? And then we can build this formulation, yeah? But then what to do next?
Yeah, and we connect the ones with positive costs to the thing,
okay.
and the ones with negative costs to
what's the capacity?
The cost of the.
Okay, and then the negative edge, what's the capacity?
Yeah, and the negative, the minus of it.
Okay, and then what do we do?
A min cut.
Okay.
Min cut would be a separation of the nodes.
Okay.
Which is like the one we want, right? Because since those are infinite edges, if there's a node in the cut, all subsequent nodes are also in the cut.
Yep, but what's the answer? Is that just a min cut because it's a positive number?
No, I think you have to have like the sum minus the negative or something like that. But if you look at the cost of a cut is the sum of the cost in the cut minus the negative cost outside the cut.
Right. So I think it's something like for all the weight that is less than 0, you take the weight,
yes.
And then so minus this plus the min cut, something like that, right? So you assume you take all the negative weight first,
yes.
But then you have to cut, and then the cost of the cut is. I think it's something like this. Yeah. Oh yeah, correct. Yeah. So yeah, and you don't actually need to SCC. It's fine if this graph is fine. It's fine. Yeah. So yeah. So basically, the idea is that once you have the G2 here, you add for each X in G2, you put capacity infinite, and then you have additional source and sink, and then for each set with a negative weight, you connect it to source where the capacity of this is the negative of the weight, so that it's positive. Okay. Alright. And then we run min cut on this. And the idea here is that assume we want to choose all of the negative weights first, like just choose all of them first because yeah, that's more optimal. But now the problem is that there might be a node that this is minus W, but this is positive, right? So this is less than 0, this is greater than 0. Yeah, then this is a problem because we choose this node but not this node, right? So for each of these cases, we have to make a decision whether we unchoose this or we also choose this, something like that, right? So we have to either make the cut here or here. And if we make the cut here, the cost is the minus W. So we like pay back, like we undo the choice. Like initially we can just assume that we chose all of them, so we take all the weight that is negative, we just minus all of them. Like in this case, we assume the answer is initially minus 20 first. But then if it's minus 20, we have to either pay 3 or we have to pay 20 to unchoose this node, or we also choose this node. So yeah, we have to either make a cut here or here, right? And if there is another node here, we have to make a decision whether to cut here or to cut both of these edges, right? And yeah, that case becomes a min cut problem. So and then you just run max for this. And basically what you will get is that all the nodes that are reachable from X is the nodes that you choose in the end. Right, yeah. Or maybe the other way around. Sorry, the other way around. All the nodes that is all the nodes that reachable from X is the node that you choose. Because if you cut this means that you unchoose one. So one is no longer reachable and one is the one that you don't choose if you cut it. Yes, Any questions? And yeah, this will become n square something, I think. Yeah, you have to, the number of edges here can be n square, so n vertices, n square edges here. So yeah, you just do p times e should be fine. Or even faster maxwell solutions. There are various faster. Okay. Any questions?
One thing that I didn't understand is that like when you choose a node, like you have to like if you choose a set, you have a lot of elements, and you have to choose one set for each element at least, right?
Yes.
But how does the perfect matching help you with constraining that? Because like
Yeah,
you
so
don't have to use the set in the perfect matching, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
So-
how does this work? I don't.
So basically, if let's say this is the set and this is the number,
Okay.
if you say that this set has, let's say, all the numbers,
Okay.
so this constrains that this set, if this is chosen, this must be chosen as well. If this is, let's say, this is the perfect match.
Okay.
Okay. So if you chose this, because there's an edge from here to here, and this is matched with this, then you add an edge from here to here.
But you don't need to choose the set, right? Like you could choose another set that is not matched with this, right?
Yeah, just I mentioned earlier, if let's say there is an edge here and there's an edge here, and you match this, and let's say there is an edge here, you claim that you can choose these two instead.
Oh,
Okay, what you're claiming?
Okay, so you can't choose. Oh, okay. Oh, okay, so you have to choose at least one of the sets that is in the perfect matching, right?
Yeah, I mean, if the perfect matching is this one, you can choose this one, but in the other perfect matching, there will be an edge from here to here, so something like that, like, regardless of which perfect matching you get, it's fine, it's the same. It's essentially the same, I think, something like that. So let's say, okay, let's say this is one of the perfect matching, which in this case you will construct an edge from 1 to 2, right? And then from here you create an edge from 2 to 3, and then from this one you create an edge from 3 to 2, right? So there is only one perfect matching here.
No. You can take the cross.
No, but there is no edge from 3 to 1.
No, the cross between 2 and 3.
Oh, okay. Right. Okay, so if you take this, then it becomes 1 to 2. This edge means there's an edge from 2
Why
to
1 to 2?
Oh, 1 to 3, sorry. 1 to 3. And then for this edge is 2 to 3. Yeah? Okay, let me draw this. It's confusing. Let's say this is the perfect matching now. Yeah, so this is 1 to 3. And then this edge is 2 to 3, and this is edge is 3 to 2. So it's exactly the same graph.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
But not exactly. 1 now points to 3. But in terms of like reachability, if you compute the transitive graph, it will be the same. Yeah. So here 1 can reach 2 and 3, so this is 1 ICPC. Yeah, it's the same. 1 and then 1 ICPC is the same. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's the end of the graph problem. So as mentioned, we're going to talk about the contest task and any other questions that you might have as well. So I think let's just do that without any break. We only have one hour. And we only have covered only 1 hour. Maybe we will have the break a little bit later. First, we will have. Okay, how do we do this usually? Like for each day, how many problems you want to discuss? Like, how did last week go? Like,
We usually did like 5 problems, the 5 hardest problems per contest.
5? Okay.
Yeah, but we did that after each contest, so now that it's many contests at once, I don't think we're going to have time to discuss the
Okay.
5 hardest for each contest.
Okay. I mean, yeah, we have until the end of today. Like we have all the day to discuss the task. So, maybe yeah, it's just yeah, maybe we have time, but yeah, we'll see. Okay. So let's start with day 6. And yeah, maybe we can discuss like 3 or 4 first, and then go to day 7, day 8, and then we still have time to go back to the theme of this question. Yeah, let's just see. Okay, so day 6 first. Yeah, this is the problem. The bullet one is the one that I intend to be related to the topic of that day. And yeah, I sort based on the number of solvers. And I put out what's my intended the tag of the problem, at least what I know how to solve it, right? Okay, so the hardest one is problem B, okay, with one solver. And some of you have solved it after the contest, but yeah, these numbers are the number of teams that solve it during the contest. I don't want to count the after that, after the contest. It's hard to count that. Yeah, so maybe we do like, yeah, some of you can explain it, especially those of you who have solved it. So any volunteers for problem B? If you are, yeah, you can go from. Either of these. Yep.
So in the problem, you had like you had like the world was aligned, and you had some edges you could not cross. And what you could do within this world is jump from one point to another point in a semicircle like this, right? So there were some obstacles at some points and different heights, and you could not cross the obstacles, right? And you had a starting point and an ending point, and you were asked to find the minimum distance between the two. Okay. So the first observation I did. And can you hear me?
Yes. Look at the online. Or register it. The thing is fine. Like you want to go.
Okay, so the first observation I had is that it's never optimal to go in the same direction twice, right? Because if you go in the same direction twice, then that's the same as just doing this. And if doing this twice did not hit any obstacles, then doing this will not hit any obstacles either, right? Okay. So once we have that observation, so once we have that observation, the next observation is that, say you jump over here, and there's a wall here, right? So there's a gap here. I claim it's always optimal to move closer to the wall, because if you did this, you could have done this, for example. Because remember that the next jump is never forward, because that's never optimal, it's always backward. So say the next jump was here, you could replace that with this. And that's also not going to hit any obstacles, right? So it's always optimal to go closer to the walls. So you can imagine that for each wall, we have like two nodes, one at the position minus epsilon, one at the position plus epsilon. Right. And we're always only going to jump to those nodes. We're never going to jump between walls, except the starting and ending point. Right? Okay, so once we have that, we have to efficiently build the graph and do the extra algorithm over that. And then the way I found to build it efficiently is so. Imagine you're standing at some point, and there are a bunch of walls. You are only going to connect this point to the left endpoint of the walls, right? To the left endpoint of the walls that are on the right. And to do that, you like start the walls in increasing order, and you always connect to the first point. Then you take this wall and say, okay, what's the minimum point I could jump to, given that we have this wall, and it would be something like this, right? And this point can be calculated using something called power of a point. We said that this square has to be this times this. So this position is just a calculation. Okay, then we go to the second point. And in this case, we can now connect to this one because it's before this first point. But we also take this, like the minimum that we could jump to, and take the bigger of these two. So if this wall constrains us to only jump to the right of this, and this wall constrains us to only jump to the right of this, the total constraint would be here. And we do that for each wall. And that way we can build a graph in quadratic time, which is linear on the size of the graph, right? And then it's this row again. Any questions?
Yeah, then when you go to the left, you take the x plus epsilon of the first element.
Yeah, I only have to do it to the right because every connection has a left endpoint and a right endpoint.
You can go from A to B, you can go backwards too.
No, but you only. So how many nodes do you create? 2n or n?
2n.
2n. Okay. So, but you for each node you only.
Each right node, I try to connect it to the left node.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, that should be good. Okay. Next is the Greek city. Any volunteers? Yeah. Any control?
Erase this? Okay, so the statement was that you had a grid where each tile of the grid was one of 4 different types. Were either it was 12 different or 13. So they could be tiles where there was no connection, a tile with 4 connections, a tile with 2 connections with a 90-degree angle, a
3 connections. Yeah.
connections like this, and were those and 1 connection as well. Okay? And what you had to do is you had to rotate the tiles of the grid in a way that for every every piece of the grid, everything is connected. So something like this, right? Forget about this. So something like this. You have to reach something like this by rotating the grid, and for each rotation, you pay cost one. Okay. So what we're gonna do is model this to weighted bipartite matching by saying that by dividing the grid by the diagonal. Okay, so like a chessboard. So those would be like black squares, and the others would be white squares. And basically, what we want to see is if there is a matching where, for example, this node is matched to this node, and this node, and every edge that's coming out of a tile of the grid has a correspondent in the neighbor tile of the grid. Okay? So what we're going to do is model each one of those types of pieces to something on a flow graph. Okay? So the first one that we're going to model is this one. This one is simple, so if you have to know that on the original grid is a 4 thing, okay? You're going to connect it to the source, and you're going to connect it to its 4 neighbors. So we're going to have connected 4 here, and you're going to connect it to its 4 neighbors, and you're going to see if neighbors have an edge. For the one thing, it's also easy because you connect it to its 4 neighbors, but the capacity of the edge going from the source to it is 1. So this is this side. The capacity going from here is 1, but here is where the cost of each edge starts mattering, because, for example, okay, so if the original grid tile is like this, if you're going to match to this tile, it's going to have cost 0. If you match to this tile, it's going to have cost 1. If you match to this tile, it's going to have cost 1. And if you're going to match to this tile, it's going to have cost 2. Okay, so you basically just like, you have everything with capacity 1. So you have everything with capacity 1, but for the thing that is in the original one, you can go 0, 1, 1, and 2. Yeah. I'm saying that this pair is like capacity cost. This is my notation. Now for so things start getting complicated in this one. So on this one, the actual constraint is that there is, like, if you can rotate whichever way you want, what you need to make sure is that horizontally it is connected to exactly 1 tile, and vertically it's also connected to exactly 1 tile. So you basically divide this into 2 nodes. One is like the vertical thing, and the other, which is the horizontal thing. And you're going to make 2 edges. One where one of the configuration that was in the original grid with cost 0, and another with the configuration that was not in the grid with cost 1. And you're going to do the same thing for the other version. And now you just have to model this. So this is horrible. Let me remember exactly what we did. Okay, I remember. Okay, so Okay, so I think it's better if we do like this. Okay? So I will create an edge from here to here with cost 0, here to here with cost 1, here to here with cost 1, and here to here with cost 2. Okay? And what I'm going to do is whichever, in the end, I'll subtract 2 from the cost of everyone that is this way. One question, when you give them in cost max flow, can you have negative edges? Negative costs?
Yeah. So you have to use the service fund. You cannot use that graph, but yeah, you can use SPFA or whatever, yeah.
Okay, so I did this because I thought I didn't know if I could use negative costs. Okay? But the way I model it is I did those 4 edges, and the way that it works is that the total cost of doing those matchings is the real cost plus 2. Okay, so for example, this would have cost 0 in the original graph, but now it has cost 2. This would have cost 1 in the original graph, but it has cost 3 here. This also has cost 3 here. And this would have cost 2, but it has cost 4 in this modeling. So in the end, I just subtract 2 times the number of tiles like this. And what we need to do in the end is just run min cost max flow, see if the max flow is exactly the degree of all tiles divided by 2, and you just print the minimum cost if it is the max flow. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Okay, thanks. Yeah, okay, so yeah, so basically the idea here is that for each node we want to match to this neighbor. So yeah, you create, and then for each of these black squares you create on the left, for each of the white you create on the right, and then yeah, basically you add, basically the capacity is equal to the number of edges outgoing, and then we want to make sure that here, basically if there's an edge here, we also want to make sure that there is an edge here, right? So yeah, that's how the matching works. So basically, from here, we want to use, like, let's say there's 2, we want to use 2 capacity to go to that, something like that, right? And then yeah, so basically for this and this it's straightforward. Here the cost is 0, yeah. And then the capacity is 1, and then if the 3, for 3 this, the capacity is 3 and the cost is 0. And then the cost we just put accordingly on how do we want to match this node to its neighbors, yeah. And then yeah, this I didn't thought of this cost actually, but there's another way which is also ugly. So basically, right, let's say this is A, B, C, D, and let's say without loss of generality, it's initially pointing to A, B, D. Then we want to assign each of these costs to something that satisfies. So if it's on A, B, C, let's say this is the cost of A, B, C, and D, the parables. So we want to make sure that A plus B plus C is 1, B plus C plus D is 0. Yeah, 1, correct. 2, and then A plus C plus D is 1, while A plus B plus D is 0. Right? And then you solve this equation, you get something that is something over thirdly. It's ugly. Yeah, so I think it's something like oh, my variables here are different. It's going to, yeah. Actually, no. So we'll get something like A is 2 over 3, B is 1 over 3, C is 4 over 3, D is 1 over 3. Yeah, you can confirm this. A plus B plus C is, no, it's not correct. There might be some minus here, I forgot. No, it's not correct. Something is wrong. Okay, never mind these numbers. But it's something that is over 3. If you try to solve this. And then, yeah, you can, if you don't want to deal with numbers, you can, of course, for all the costs, you multiply by 3, and then later after you find the main cost, you divide by 3, the answer. And it's guaranteed to be like this. Yeah, and then also the tricky part is when it's 2, because you have to make sure that it doesn't, because it's also like, it's always like this, you have to make sure that you don't make it to match like this, right? So you have to make sure that it's matched. One of the matching is for the horizontal, and one of the matching is the vertical. So yeah, you split this one like this. Now the capacity of this and this becomes 1. And then yeah, this is the cost and the capacity. Okay. Any question? Yeah.
There is a minus missing in A, then it works.
Which minus?
A.
A as minus? Okay, sure. Okay.
Minus.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And yeah, you can run max flow with negative edge using shortest path algorithm that works for negative edge. Yeah, using shortest path factor algorithm. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So maybe next question. Forbidden sum. Any further? Yeah. Yeah.
I did it without persistence.
Oh, sure. No worries. Yeah. You can. Yeah. Right.
Well, in this problem, we were given an array K. We were given an array K. It's satisfied that the sum of all the elements was at most 10 to the power of 9. And they asked us many queries of the form: solve this problem in the range L R. And the problem was considering the numbers. Yeah, my plus 1. We are, which is the minimum number which cannot be expressed as the sum of some numbers from this set, where we can use each number like the number of times it appears here. So, the first thing I did was to observe how could I solve this problem without the range constraint. Like if I only have one array. And then it is optimal to sort the whole array. For example, if the array was 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 7. The optimal the way to calculate the minimum number, which we can express as the sum of these numbers. To calculate this, in each step we have the minimum number which we can express. At the beginning, we always can express 0 as the sum of empty subset. So the first number we can express at the beginning is 1. Then, if the first number in our sorted array is the first number, let's say A, is smaller or equal than the minimum number M we cannot express, then we can do like we can make all numbers from 0 to n minus 1. And if the first number we cannot express as the sum of the numbers we have. And let's say we consider until some point. Then if A is the next element we didn't consider, if A is smaller or equal to n, then we can make A until A plus n minus 1 using a and with these numbers to form the rest of the numbers. So then we can construct any number from 0 to a plus n minus 1, and the first number we cannot make would be a plus n. So the algorithm to calculate this would be to sort all the numbers in the array from the smallest one to the largest one, and then if the current number is smaller or equal than the smallest number we can sum, add that to the sum until we reach a number which is bigger. For example, if we have here 3, 7, 14. If we have here like 15, then with these numbers we can make up to 14, and we cannot make 15 using these numbers. So this is the solution to the problem if we had just one array. To solve the range query, what we can make is a segment tree. And in each node, we will have the first number we cannot make, and an array of all the numbers we didn't use in this algorithm. This is not exactly what I did, but this was my first solution, and then I optimized it to pass the time limit. In each leaf of the segment tree, which represents a node in the array, we have, if the number we have in that position is 1, then the first number we cannot make is 2. And we have used all the numbers, so the vector we have in this node of the unused numbers is empty. And if we have not a 1 in that position, for example, we have a 3, the first number we cannot make is 1, and we have a vector containing the number 3, which is the numbers we haven't used yet to construct numbers. So then, having these two things in each node, the operation would be 2. Suppose we have one node with m1, where m1 is the minimum number we cannot make in this node, and b1 is the vector of all numbers we haven't used to make a sum. And here we have the same thing. Then, to combine these two nodes, the minimum value we cannot make will be, we can make all numbers until n1 minus 1. And we can make all numbers until n2 minus 1. So the first number we cannot make is m1 plus m2 minus 2 plus 1, which is the same as minus 1. And then we can do we can join these two vectors, which are already sorted using merge sort, and from smallest to largest, check if each of these numbers is smaller or equal than this sum, and keep adding it until it's greater than the sum, and we stop there. And that will be the result.
And when you add it to m, you remove from the factor, yeah?
Yes, and we remove it from the vector, yes. This was the first solution I made, but it gave a time limit exceeded because we are using too much memory. I think it's n log n, the total memory, like when we do a merge sort tree, but the constraints were very tight, and this couldn't pass. So what the optimization I did was, instead of keeping these vectors with numbers we didn't use, I start solving the problem inside these vectors so that we have fewer numbers. Like for example, suppose I have m is equal to 4.
Sorry, can I interrupt before that? Once you have that merge sort tree, how do you answer the query?
You do a query of segment tree
Yeah.
in a range,
Yeah.
and then the answer would be the m of the answer.
Yeah, but you might need to merge several nodes, right?
Yes, but the merge is this operation. Like, I have a segment tree where each node stores this information,
Yeah. But if
and
you
the
merge,
operation,
yeah, but if you merge two nodes, can that be open in the code?
if you merge. Oh, yes, yes. That's the reason why API can be
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
So
Yeah,
during
because the
the
query can be linear. Yes,
the
yes,
query
right.
can be
Yes,
yeah.
right. So what I need to solve that was storing log n numbers in each vector. For example, if we have a node and the minimum number we cannot achieve is 4, and the numbers in the vector are like 4, no, 4 no. We cannot have 4 because we have like 5, 6, 8, for example. When we reach, when we do a merge operation and we reach a sum of 5, then we will be able to add 5 to the cost. But then we will also be able to add 6 and 8. So I make a vector of pairs, and each pair represents when we reach this sum, we could add this value. So at first it will be 5, 5. When we reach a sum of 5, I will add 5. Then I will reach the sum 10. So I iterate through the elements in order, and if the next number is smaller or equal to the sum of these two numbers, then I add it to the second coordinate, because that means that when I reach 5, I will reach sum 10, and then I will add 6 too. So this is 11, and I will add 8 too, so this will be 19. And like if I have now, for example, 30, I will not add 30 when I add this, so I make another pair, 30 and 30. And there will be at most log n pairs, because to make another pair, this number has to be at least the sum of these two, which is this number has to be at least this plus this, and it has to be the double, and it has at most log n pairs. Was it clear?
You said that merge sort tree with memory limit, right?
No, the problem is what Jonathan said, that the query will be linear.
Okay, so I was going to say that I did merge sort tree in this problem.
What?
I did merge sort tree in this problem.
Okay, do you want to?
No, I just wanted to point out like you could do it and that's the time limit.
Yeah, guess what? He also did still merge sort tree, but he reduces the size of the factors in each of the nodes. Yeah. So it's still merge sort tree, yeah? Actually, yeah. So yeah, the problem with if you don't reduce to something like this, is that the preprocess will take linear n log n. Yeah, because even though one node can last, but the sum of each level is on. But the query, if you take like nodes of like if you need to merge this, it becomes linear as well, right? So that's the problem, and then you have to reduce.
So what I did was like maintaining like a graphic sum on each node of the merge sort tree, and then using that to query in log squared. I think.
Do you for each of the nodes do you optimize something like this? Like if there is 5, 6, 8, you collect into one. So you know?
No, I don't need that. Like I do like I first see like the value that like, I first start thinking that okay, can I do 1? Can I make sum 1?
Mm-hmm.
So I sum everybody that has value less or equal to 1 and see if it's bigger or equal to 1. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's bigger than 1, then I say that okay, can I do a value that is bigger than the sum of all these values that I summed?
So basically, from this, you create the prefix sum,
Yeah.
and then later when you have an edge, you just binary search. Like let's say it's from 9, you can just add 90, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then from 19 you have to query it, right?
Yeah. So
Because if there is 19 here, then you have to also add this, right?
yeah.
Yeah, okay. Question? Okay, thank you. Check. Yeah, so yeah, my solution is similar to what you mentioned. So basically, in order to answer one query, there is another way of do this is that you can do something like while, so you start with s equals 0, and then while true, let's say, you take s equals sum of all elements uh, smaller than s plus 1. Yeah, and then if this is also s, you break. So if s does not change, break. Yeah, this is also solving the problem if there is no query for the whole array. It's why this works is basically similar to the previous one. Basically, like as long as there's an element that is smaller than s, we can take it, right? And this loop will only run log n times. It's similar to the optimization here. Basically, the value of s will double every time. It's not necessarily double, but it's kind of like Fibonacci sequence. Like it can be 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, something like that. But yeah, it grows very fast. This S grows very fast. Okay, and yeah, because this is how you answer one of the queries. To answer LR, you can use, yeah, that's why I wrote persistent segment tree, that because you can create a segment tree that stores, yeah, the nodes in the segment tree are the values but sorted in increasing order. So let's say A is 7, 1, 4, 2. Then this is 1, 2, 4, 7. And then, yeah, basically we want to be able to do range sum query on like from only counting elements that are smaller than s, what's the total, right? So this is 3, this is 11, and this is 14, yeah? And then we can query what's the sum of elements smaller than s. And we want to make this persistent because, yeah, there is L and R query, so we build from 1 to L, 1 to I first, and then build 1 to I plus 1, 1 to I plus 2, and so on, right? Yeah, and then from L to R, you can just use the segment tree from 1 to R minus 1 to L minus 1. Standard prefix sum, right? And then, yeah, with this persistent segment tree, we can.
I didn't understand how you get a segment tree for each range.
You use persistent segment tree. Like from 1 to I, like let's say 7142. For the first segment tree, you just have 7, 7, 7, right? And then when you build from A1 and A2, you build from this tree, but you increase this 1. So it becomes 1, 1, 8. Right? Yeah. And we make persistent so that we keep each copies of the, like, not copies, but we keep. So we know what the segment tree from A1 to 1, A1 to 2, A1 to 3, and so on, right? Yeah. And using this, we can query how many in the segment, only considering element from L to R, what's the total of elements that is smaller than S? Yeah. Yeah, so because this loop is log n and each query of the segment tree is also log n, this is log square n per query. Yeah.
I think you can drop it to n log n.
How?
Because if
M will be a number
Uh-huh.
that the sum of the number between 0 and M minus 1 is less than M, right?
Yep.
So,
It's not infinitely.
no, it's not differently.
No, it's not binary because, for example, if you have 1 and 100,
Yes.
then 101 it's possible to do like the sum of all the numbers below 101 is 101. But there's a number before that that is not.
I mean the first number. That, in this case, 2. The sum of numbers before 2 is 1. So, you can begin with a symmetry with a minus 1 in each position, so the sum will be something. And you want the first prefix that the sum is 0. I mean, or it's negative. The first prefix that the sum is minus 1.
Okay, so let's say A is 1, 2, 4, 7, 30. Let's say this is already sorted, so you.
Turkey is very I think, for the draw, because
Oh.
I mean, you use the value as an
The
index.
number go to 10 to the 9.
Well, you can use Loic iteration as symmetry.
Oh, okay. So, okay, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 5, 6, 7. What would you do? Okay, let's say this is 8. Okay, let's say this is 9. Okay, the answer in this case, the forbidden sum should be 8, but how do you get it from the second thing?
In the beginning, it carries a minus 1 in each element,
Okay,
and
okay, and then?
when you add an element,
Uh-huh.
you add that value as that index.
Okay. So you add 1 to 0?
You know, just 1 to 1.
So this is 0.
No, minus 1 in the segment tree. I mean, in the segment tree, at the beginning, you have a minus 1 in each leaf.
Okay.
And when you reach a value,
Yes.
the 1, no the 0.
Okay. So you don't minus 1. Okay. Sorry. 1, and then you increase this by 1.
Yes.
So this becomes 0.
Yes.
Okay.
And then when you reach 2, increase the 2 by 2. And you have 1.
And do you query the segment tree after each update?
After the update, and when if you use persistence, you have both states because it's a sum.
Okay.
I think. And you want to know the first prefix, the first number, that the prefix, and then is minus 1.
Okay, so you probably don't have this, yeah?
So the 0 has to be 6. The 0 has to be 0, I think, but the rest. Yes.
Yeah, okay. So in this case, 2 is the forbidden number, okay? And then you add this 2, you get this is 0 as well.
No, that will be 1.
Huh?
2 plus 2 is 1.
Oh.
2 plus minus 2 minus 1 is 1. You have minus 1. And then
So what do you add to the segment tree?
you want 2 to the index 2.
Okay, so 4, you add 4 here. Okay. And then in this case, the forbidden sum becomes 4 and so on, yeah? Okay? Is this one?
If you subtract 1 at the start of the tree and you use persistence factor to query the range, the minus 1 from both of them will cancel each other. But it can be done.
Oh, you are right.
You just like take the range you are dealing with and subtract the size of the range from the answer.
Yeah, just this.
In this way, if the minimum of the prefix is higher.
Yeah, just this works for one query, like for the whole array maybe. But yeah, how do you query for L and R? Because even though you keep this persistent, but the values at L and R, the source might not be consecutive.
Well, but each node can keep the sum.
So because like let's say the elements are 1, 4, 2, 7. Yeah, the query can be here, which is not a consecutive set of sorted numbers.
In practice, yes, I think that that gives some and minimum prefix, and that can be combined. No, see, it was I that to use the one thing in parallel is hard. I have to think more about it.
Yeah. Okay. Any question? Yeah, so there are a couple of ways, like, yeah, you can, there are a couple of solutions and stuff, but yeah, what I use is this consistent segment tree to compute between L and R, what's the sum of elements that is smaller than S. Yeah, okay. Yeah, maybe we can do one more before we go for a break, and then after the break we'll discuss the other days. So, sign on time. Any something? Yeah, sure. Ah, yeah, sure.
number of maximum senses that we are using. So this version is version 1, because the four maximum and you can see that we can put a sign of length 2, no? And we continue to add sense of lower length. This maximum length can increase. So each version starts about 4, 5, 6. Let's say the width of the sign in the old pieces can only possible. So in a query, just for all the students, we can see we can do a binary search of the version. So in the first version, we can always put a value, a pencil. So you can the max the continuous segment of active pencil. So we can try to increase the minimum rate and search this version that we can put logging when you have the maximum. And for that, we have the binary section now because queries like we have partial histogram and we can now the question is what is the largest continuous range of active times in that range? So I did this histogram we put the active fence in a and then not active so now with this array we can use the maximal subarray sum segment. In this problem we try to in a range we are asked to return the maximum sum we can do. So in a range the greedy answer is to not take the minus sign because this is always flat. We try to get the maximum continuous sum. So the answer to the problem would be the maximum number of continuous sums that is going to reach the answer to or query inside the binary. So this is the pointer of the binary. That is the version in the persistent segment. We can use the segment 3 for actual the sort way the problem. Have the answer for each node and you can merge the answer of two nodes into a dividing circle. So remember the order that's the answer. It's clear?
Yeah, so I guess it's already quite standard for you by now that finding, let's say you're given L and R, finding a sub array inside L and R that has the maximum sum is a standard segment tree, but for each node you have to keep the maximum prefix sum and suffix sum so that you can merge two. So you take, like let's say you want to merge this, you take the maximum of this, but then you also consider if they actually share, like the element is passed through the middle of this by taking what the prefix suffix of this, sorry, maximum suffix of this and maximum prefix of this and sum them together. Yeah, so that's how you find a maximum sum in a maximum sum subarray in a range, and then yeah, as you mentioned, you can once you have this, you can solve this query, and yeah, because we have to validate the head, we have to be able to solve for all the weights, for all the head, then we need to keep the segment tree for all possible weights, yeah, for all possible weights, yeah, okay. Okay, and then yeah, I think we can cover quickly for problem J. I can just mention it quickly because it's actually quite. The idea is simple because it's just the question is you want to update U2V all the colors, but then when you're updating, you also have, before you update, you query first how many edges in that path that are not that color, right? Because you want to override by that color, right? So if you think about the query in is linear, it's simple actually because there's very few colors as well, so you can keep a segment tree for each color. Yeah, so if you create segment tree of each color, then whenever there is an update, you just want to set a sub range to override it to all one, and then the query is like from here to here, how many ones are there? So just range some query, and then the update is just set all of this range to one, and that's the standard lazy propagation segment tree, right? And then yeah, we keep 7 segment tree of this, and then we keep many segment trees of this because it can be in heavy light, or I think there's a technique to use just one segment tree for even for heavy light, but yeah, you just heavy light because now it's a path. So that's how you solve this thing. The idea is not hard, but yeah, the coding might be a bit tricky. So yeah, for those of you who never coded heavy light before, it's probably good exercise to solve this problem. Yeah, so yeah, just put it there so that you can have some coding in the context as well. That's yeah, more of a coding problem that one. Yeah, so those are the 5 hardest problems in terms of the number of things solved for the first day. So maybe now we take a 15 minutes break, and yeah, we will resume with the 7th day. Sorry. Okay, let's continue with the day 7. Of course, if you have some questions with the rest of the day 6 tasks, yeah, unfortunately, we probably won't be able to cover in the class. So you can just ask your colleague, your classmate, or you can also ask me. But yeah, let's continue to day 7. We only have 30 minutes left today, and the bad news here is that these tasks are quite hard. Like this content have some hard problems, but yeah, we can probably resume some of this discussion tomorrow. And for the day 8, it's actually the other way around. It's actually quite easy. Like, yeah, the numbers are much more better, much better. Yeah, but for this one, yeah, maybe we can discuss 6 to 7 tasks, maybe, because they are quite difficult. So yeah, I really hope to reach until I at least, but maybe not today, because as I mentioned problem I before, I mentioned it before that I intend to this problem to use define concord, but some of you, yeah, it looks like a complex health problem, but actually I thought there's no complex health problem that can solve that problem, but it turns out some of you did, and I'm going to talk about the define concord for that problem, and which I actually intend to be the solution. But let's do it in order. If you can't reach problem I, that's fine, we'll do it tomorrow. So, first problem, any volunteer? It's the problem with the very messy input because it's stolen from Facebook account. So you have to generate the input using a pseudo-random. Any volunteer? Who is the one thing that solved it? You maybe want to present.
I think it was DFG, he isn't here.
Oh, I see. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Okay, so yeah, maybe we can, I can leave the discussion then. So basically the problem is about, I think you are given a tree, and basically this is a weighted tree, there's a distance, right? There's a distance. And the question is, there are several queries where you are given a node and speed, I think, or like a cost, and then basically, yeah, you want to pass an item from here to any of the leaf in the subtree, right? That's the problem, right? Yeah. And then for every node that you pass, you can either continue with cost C or you change to this person. And I think yeah, so basically if you keep a cost C for every X, you have to do C times D. And then if you change, then the cost change, but I think there's a penalty if you change, right? Is it? I forgot now. No? Oh. No. Yeah, okay. But you just change the speed, the speed, something like that, right? So, yeah, this question is actually can be solved using some conventional optimization and some DSU or tree. So basically you do a dynamic programming where for each node you compute what's the cost of passing an item from this node to any of these substitutes. So you compute that DP. And to actually calculate the DP, then the n square solution is just to check basically DPI is the minimum of J, subtree of E, subtree of I, not J in subtree of I. What's the value of dpj plus the cost of I times the distance from I to J, right? That makes sense, right? And distance from I to J, if D is the distance to the root, then dj minus di, right? Okay? Yeah. And then, yeah, this is actually a potential problem because this is just di dj minus di ci, right? And this is constant in I, and we want to find this is x, this is m, this is c, right? Okay. But now, yes? Oh, sure, let's try that. Thank you. It's hard to see that on the book. Yeah, so yeah, the problem here is that this is a tree, so it's not linear. If the tree is linear, then it's simple. You do from bottom, and then you do this, right? But the problem is now linear, so what you do is that you can to compute this node, you steal the complex data structure from here and to here. And you use the DSU or tree technique to take the one that has most lines. So let's say the subtree of this is bigger than this. So you take the contextual data structure, like the lines from here, and then for each of these nodes, you just insert manually, one by one. Right? And that is n log n insert. And you need to use the fully dynamic variant.
N log square.
Yeah. The number of insert is n log n, and each insert is log square. That passes.
We don't have that
Oh. Oops.
because of the cost for 1 million.
Right, but the time limit is 3, right? I think 3 seconds, right?
We didn't try.
Oh, yeah, but this is the internet solution. Yeah, sorry if you think it won't pass by. Yeah, this is the internet solution. And my code is like 1 point something, I think. Yeah, time limit is 3 seconds. But yeah, yeah, sorry if you thought this doesn't work. So yeah, this is the, and of course we solve the queries by we basically for each node we keep what's the queries in it. So we do the queries offline. Yeah, and then when we already compute, we already merge the wait. So, yeah, because yeah, basically when you want to compute this DP, you also use the line data structures to compute the queries. Yeah, and yeah, because once you already and then when there is a parent of this node and you combine the DP of this, the lines of this is gone because we already merged it with some other line. So when you already have the set of lines from this subtree, you answer the queries from this node. So you answer the queries offline. You end up answering the queries from the leaf first and then parent and then yeah. So this is how you solve this problem. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Next task is the DP problem. Thermal and ocean. Any questions? Yeah. Okay. So where's the? Okay.
Okay, so in this problem, you had a line that are some distance apart, and you have like a strength, which is the maximum distance you can travel between points. So if 2 points are less, the distance between 2 points is less than your strength, you can travel between them. And if it's more, you cannot. But what you can do is do something called a jump, where you can travel to any point, but that decreases your strength by half. So your strength decreases by half. What you want to answer is what point can you start at and visit all other points. Okay. So the first observation is that at the beginning there are like connected components that are reachable with the original strength, right? And for each subsequent decrease in strength, of which there are most logs, there's another set of connected components that is maybe smaller, right? Maybe these two can be reached, but this one cannot reach these, right? Because the strength is not enough. Maybe there's separated and so on, right? And so we have log levels. And a valid solution would be, for example, starting here then you can do all the connected components, and then you have to travel to another level and do some other connected component, and then travel to the lower level and do some connected component. So you take one from this level, one from this level, and one from this level, and so on, so that the union is everything. Right? Okay, so what you can do is, since there are very few levels, the number of sets of levels is very small. So even if you do something that's all due to the number of levels, that still fits within the time limit. So what you're going to compute is a DP, which is going to be given a set of levels, what's the maximum prefix that you can cover using that set of levels. Okay. Well, that's a DP that you can compute. Like, for example, if you want to cover this prefix using a set of levels, well then this last thing has to be covered by something from that set. You iterate all the possibilities, which they're only log to its path, and then the rest, like the remaining set, has to cover a prefix which is larger than this, right? So everyone understood how to compute SCP? Okay, and now you can do the same for the end. So for a given set, what's the maximum suffix that you can cover with that? And then if you start at a point, what you do is you do the whole connected component, and then you do a union of the rest of the components, right? And some of those are going to form a prefix, have to cover this prefix, and some of those have to cover this suffix, right? And there cannot be any component that reaches across this, because the components in the lower levels are always smaller. So there cannot be any shared level and any shared, this prefix is going to be covered by some levels, and this suffix by some other disjoint set of levels, right? So you can just iterate all possibilities, check every set of levels, and try to cover the prefix with that set, and the suffix with the complement. Okay. And see if it's enough to cover the whole thing. Now, this is quadratic, because for each point you have to do this. What you can do is, like this computation is independent of the point. You can just choose a set and try to cover a prefix with that set, and a suffix with the complement. You see that everything is covered except an interval, right? Now you need to check for each point if the connected component, encloses some of those intervals, right? Some of the intervals you've pre-computed. And that can be done with a sweep line. Any questions?
Yeah, this is actually quite an interesting question. Not so easy in my opinion. So yeah, basically you compute the DP of exactly what you mentioned. And yeah, because notice that even the value of P here is bounded by this, so this works. If the initial speed can be 10 to the power of 9, this doesn't work, because the number of levels here is bounded by log of this, and 2 to the power of this is basically this, right? So, so you can build a DP, the prefix works the longest point you can reach with this type of velocity, assuming you can start anywhere, assuming you can start in any points between 0 and this prefix. And then in compute the DP, you basically look any point that is in that state, in that set, and assume that is the last component, right? So you do DPi basically like you do maximum of let's say j is an element in I, and then you do dp I minus j, which is like a set uh, removal, plus from this, basically not plus, but from here, what's the longest point you can reach with only using the speed of j. Yeah, and you can do this using binary search and some range minimum query. Basically, from here you binary search for the longest point, and then yeah, you can reach. And if you binary search, you take the range maximum query. Make sure that the maximum gap is not greater than the speed of j at the j level, right? Yeah, and then that's the DP. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, so that's the solution. And then you do for the suffix as well. And then, as I mentioned, with these two DPs, you can answer the query. Yeah, answer the queries from each starting position. Yeah. Okay. Any questions? Yeah. Next is possibly very short. This problem is from Google Code Jam Finals actually, 2015, I think. Yeah. So any question? Yeah.
So the problem is basically that you want to do a weighted binary search. So when you want to you want to insert a new number in your sequence, our sequence is already sorted, and when you compare your new number with a number in position I, this has a cost of a. So this is to answer if your new value is greater than I or less than I. It's never equal. So the first solution is to do a range dp where dp LR is the minimum cost to solve for this interval. So this will be basically for all I, you will see the minimum of all I of a of I plus max of maximum of L I minus 1 and I plus 1 R. So this is basically the range dp, and this is okay. If I choose to compare my new number with the number I, I can go one of these two situations. If it's less than I go to IL I minus 1, and if it's greater I minus 1 R. So this is the simple DP, and the idea is you reverse the DP. So instead of DP LR being the minimum cost, it will be DP right of yeah, DP right of L cost. This will be the maximum R that you can reach if you start on L and spend at most cost. So uh, you can see that cost will be at most uh, log of n times log. And yeah, I forgot to say that Maxwell is at most 9, so A of I is less than or equal 9. So your answer is at most log times 9. So you know that your answer is small. So you can do this with b in n times log times 6. So the first you do the dp to the left from right. So dpl cost will be the maximum r that you can reach spending at most cost. and you do the same thing to the left. DPL right cost. So this will be the minimum one. So, and to compute this DP, you can go from the cost 0 to 9 times log, and this is basically for the DPR would be DPRL cost will be the maximum of DPR I will spin this clear. Cost minus A of I if this. So you go for every I, and DPL cost will be maximum between DPR of I plus 1 cost minus A of I. So if you choose to carry this on I, you can go until DPR of I plus 1 cost minus A of I, and you can only choose to partition in one I. So you have here L, an I, and let's say that this is R. Your answer can be L if from I plus 1 you can go into L spending at most cost minus A of I, and if from I minus 1 you can go into L spending at most cost minus A of I too. So you can do this for every I, and this will be n squared times log times 9. But actually you can do some optimizations to do this better. So let me think what optimization we can do. Okay. So for every I, you say that, let's say that you are looking for I now, and this is this L. So you say that the answer for everything here is maximum between the current answer and the error from I. So you say that the answer for everything that is greater than DPL of I minus 1 cost minus A of I is maximum between its current answer and this. So you can do this with range carries. So, but this is n times log squared times 9. And you can do some extra optimizations to do this in n times log. So basically the idea is to reverse this, and you can think of some best optimizations to do this in n times log times 9.
Yeah. Yeah. So basically, this is the main idea. Instead of LR, we take the cost because the value of the cost can be small. I think we also discussed similar problems where it's ternary cells with each different cost. But for that problem, it doesn't matter where you cut, the cost is always the same. But in this problem, each cut has different values. So yeah, you also need this state, the where which range instead of just one dimension, it's now two dimension, and now yeah, we can do this n log n times costing, and we don't actually need the dpr actually here because sorry, dpl. You don't need the dpl. You only just need one direction because this is, in other words, it's just r l cos minus ai greater than I, something like that, I think. Yeah. But yeah, basically, what you can do is dpr l cos is you take them, yeah, instead of looping I, there basically we can do like the maximum of 1 I9, and then the idea here is that we can take let's say J is dpr L cos minus I. So let's say J is like this is I. Let's say J is the farthest that we can do with cos minus I, right? And then we want to take basically we can cut anywhere we want up to this point that has cos I. So let's say no, this is not I, sorry, this L. Let's say this is L, this is J, and once we know J, we can find where is the largest index such that the element is I, right? Yeah, and if I is to the left of L, we just ignore. We don't want to consider this I. But let's say I is here, and let's say this is K's position, and the element is I. Okay, then it's just take the value of dpr k cos minus I. So there's actually no log here. It's just n times maximum cost. Oh yeah, correct. Yeah, n log k. But becomes n times maximum cost. Sorry, it's another way of doing this without computing the other direction. Just need to compute here. So find j, and then find k. K is the largest index such that such that the AK is equal to I, and it's still smaller than or equal to J.
We implemented that, and it was time limit. I don't know if there was a way to do it. Either our implementation is very wrong, or like we thought we had to optimize the factor of 9.
So this
When
is
I
what I do.
implemented, I had a lot of problems with cache, so I had to convert the vector. So, and also I used the fragment.
You use what, sorry? Pragma.
Fragment.
I didn't use Pragma in mine, but it was like 1600 milliseconds.
So this is basically what I mentioned, right? I is n, C is the maximum cost, and then you try to look 1 to J, and then you take cut is the J, and then you take prep cut is the K, and then you max to K, and then C minus J. This is what I did. I think it's quite fun. Sorry?
That's what we did.
It's quite fun.
But like, you need to be careful with
So the complexity is n times log times 9
Yes.
times 9.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's another time timer. It's 8:42 milliseconds. Time limit is 1.5, right? I think. Oh, 2 seconds. And this solution runs in 8:42 milliseconds. So you might get a bit unlucky. Oh yeah, there's an out here that passes in front. I don't know what this is. Other solutions that make it. But yeah. So maybe just unlucky. Yeah. Any questions?
I have a question. It's not from this, like from. I think we're not gonna talk about the next concept, like the contest that came after this one, right?
Like, oh yeah.
We're not going to discuss it.
We're going to discuss it tomorrow.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah. These problems, right? You mean?
Yeah.
These problems. Yeah, we're going to talk about them.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can do one more. Where's my watch? We can talk one more. Quickly, maybe. Go. So yeah, sending blessing. Any comments?
I think it's about the career. It was the first out people in the career who was being known, no?
Sorry?
That's the problem. No one of them.
It's the one where you want to send from U to V, but each node has a capacity. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I jump back on.
Okay. Any volunteers for problem B? Okay, you want? Oh, sorry, I thought you raised your question. Sorry, maybe we can just discuss it quickly. So, yeah, this problem is about, basically, you have several queries of U and V, and you want to find what's the max flow of U to V, right? Yeah, and the problem is n is huge, so you cannot run max flow. And but the special property is that the number of edges equals the number of vertices, right? So, did I get this part? Yeah, correct. Yeah. So, yeah, this kind of graph is special because there can be only one cycle. Like for each connected component, it will be something like there's a cycle, and here there's a tree, right? Something like that, right? So, yeah, this is the property of the graph. Of course, it can be there can be another as well.
I think it's connected.
Oh, it's connected.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It has to be, otherwise it breaks.
Yeah. It would be no cycle if it isn't connected. It would be only 2 trees if it isn't connected.
If it isn't connected, one component will be very badly behaved, and the rest can be trees, for example.
Oh, right. Yeah. No, but
Like there could be a lot of trees, and then because of that, there will be a lot of remaining edges, and you could put all the remaining edges in one component, so it wouldn't be like this.
So you have a tree, and then isolated nodes.
no, but okay. So this is not the only condition. The other condition is that each vertex has one outgoing edge. No.
No.
No, it is undirected.
Oh, sorry, I mixed up with another problem. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. So in the problem statement, it's guaranteed to be connected.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, this is the only possible graph, right? Okay. And yeah, basically, this is just another like a bit interesting solution. Like, basically, for each node, if they are on the same tree, then it's just LCA, right? Like you want to find what's the minimum cost to go from here to here, right? Minimum way, right? But if they are on a different tree, then you do something like the minimum of this and this, and yeah, the minimum part to go to the root and the minimum part to go to the root. But then there are 2 parts here which you can sum, right? So it's something like let's say this is cycle. So this is the minimum of this. Okay, let's just do it. So E is the minimum from here to here. F is the minimum from here to here. And okay, let's just make this minimum as well. C. And then let's make this A. Okay, every time I aggregate edges like this, it take the minimum. The answer now becomes a minimum of A, C, and E plus F, right? Because basically to go from here to here, there's E plus F capacity. And here there's A, C, and this is E plus F. So there's actually not that. Yeah, I'm surprised that there's only 6, but I'm also surprised in the other direction that some of the hard problems there are lots of solvers. But yeah, actually for this, it's not. The observation is just basically But the coding might be a bit complicated. But the idea is just if they are on a 2 different tree, then on the cycle there are 2 parts. If it's on the same tree, then it's just, yeah, you have to find LCA, then you have to find the minimum weight there. It's a bit complicated to code, but the idea is that this one. Any questions? So yeah, tomorrow we're going to talk about maybe I and M maybe, and some of the tasks from day 8 as well, and some of the tasks from today's contest as well. And then cover the special topics as well, which shouldn't be lost. And for today's contest, it's going to be from another contest. It's not going to be thematic, yeah. From an ICPC regional actually. Oh yeah, actually, one question, because today's contest is taken from an ICPC regional. There is 1 hour freeze. Do you want the 1 hour freeze today?
Yes.
You want?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'll do that. Okay, so today's contest has 1 hour freeze. And for the topics yesterday was graphs and some special properties about graphs. And the special topic from tomorrow, it will be on tomorrow's contest. So tomorrow's contest will be a mix between graphs and tomorrow's topic and some other like from other content. But for today it will be from a full set of content. And I will make a 1 hour. Any question?
No.
Okay, yeah, then we'll go for lunch. Yeah. Okay.
Lo pregunté,